Hello and welcome to Mr. Roman's video lesson. We are live from Mr. Roman's home in Washington, Illinois, and today we're going to be reviewing the order of operations for basic algebra. So let's start with one of the problems we did in a spa earlier this week, and okay, so here we see that we have a set of grouping symbols here with the brackets, and inside the grouping symbol we have multiplication and subtraction, and the order of operations says we need to start with the multiplication here. So we're going to say 5 times 4 is 20. And then, still working inside the grouping symbols, we're going to say 14 minus 20 is negative 6. Okay. Here we can understand the 3 next to the bracket as meaning multiplication with whatever number comes out of these two calculations. So since we multiplied and subtracted, we have a negative 6. We're now going to then multiply that by the 3. It would be incorrect to add the negative 9 and the 3 first because multiplication comes before adding and subtracting in the order of operations. So here, when we multiply, we're going to get negative 18. So negative 9 plus negative 18 is going to be negative 27 for our answer. So again here, we want to start inside the brackets with the multiplication, then subtract, and then multiply the 3 with whatever was inside the bracket, and then add the negative 9. Let's take a look at a different type of problem. Here's one where we're going to have to actually plug in values into the equation. And let's here assume that we know that x is equal to negative 1 and y is equal to 8. Okay. This is one where we can plug into the expression and evaluate. So here we want to plug in negative 1 for x, so we're going to have 5 times negative 1 to the third power minus 9 times 8 plus 37. And here, with the order of operations, we want to start with exponents since we don't have any grouping symbols. Now these parentheses here are indicating multiplication, so the 9 times the 8 and the 5 times the negative 1, but we must start with the exponents first. So negative 1 to the third power we can see as something like this. Negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1, which is going to equal positive 1 here, but then we're going to multiply that by the negative 1, and therefore it's going to be negative 1 coming out of there. A lot of students want to take negative 1 times 3 and say this is equal to negative 3, but that was incorrect. That would be if you're multiplying the 3 and the 1. Here, the 3 is indicating an exponent. So it tells you how many times to multiply negative 1 to itself. So here, after we evaluate the exponent, we'll have 5 times negative 1 minus 9 times 8 plus 37. And now, before we add or subtract, we want to make sure we take care of multiplication. So 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. 9 times 8 is 72 plus 37. And then here we can simply work left to right, starting with negative 5 minus 72, which would be negative 77 plus 37, which equals negative 40 for our answer. Next, we'll look at an example where we have some division. And here again we have no grouping symbols to start with, but we do have exponents here. So we have to start with the exponents. 8 squared is going to be 64, not 16. That would be 2 times 8. And then from here, we want to make sure that we take care of the division here and here before we do subtraction. So we can either do this first or this first. I'm going to go ahead and start with this being 16 minus 5 divided by 15 is not 3. What that would be is 15 divided by 5, which is 3. This being 5 divided by 15 is 1/3, or 0.3 repeating as a decimal. Probably want to use the fraction here. It's okay to use the decimal, but the fraction will keep it more precise. So we want to say 16 minus 1/3, which is going to equal 15 2/3 as our answer. Next, let's look at one where we have another set of grouping symbols. 95 minus 6 times the quantity 32 divided by 8 minus 1 quantity to the 4th power. Okay, so here, this is an expression where we do have grouping symbols here with the brackets. And inside the grouping symbols we have two operations, division and subtraction. We must start with the division because that comes first, or I guess it comes ahead of the subtraction in the order of operations. So 32 divided by 8 is going to be 4. And that's still to the 4th power. Now we have 4 minus 1, which is going to be 3. And then here is where students get tripped up a lot, is the 3 inside the brackets. You are going to multiply the 6, but we have that exponent out here that takes precedence over the multiplication. So next we need to take 3 to the 4th power, which is going to be 81. And then we can multiply the 81 by the 6, and we would get 486. Okay, so last step then, 95 minus 486, which is equal to negative 391. So again here, once you evaluate whatever number is inside the brackets, then you're going to take that to the 4th power here, and then multiply the 6. And again, not subtracting the 95 and the 6, because the 6 next to the bracket means multiplication. And let's look at one more example. And here's one where I would consider this, it looks like a really big fraction. You have the big fraction bar here, and what it's really saying is whatever number we get out of the top, we're going to divide by whatever number we get out of the bottom. So we have to really treat each side of the fraction separately until we get one number on the top and the bottom, and then we can look to divide. So starting at the top, we have operations here, subtraction, and then multiplication between the parentheses and the 5, and then an exponent with 2 to the 3rd. Exponents will come before multiplication, so here we're going to say 2 to the 3rd power is 8. So we have to start with the exponents there. And here we have a grouping symbols on the bottom that we can evaluate as 5 plus 7, which is 12. So we can now rewrite this as so we took care of one operation on the top, one operation on the bottom. Let's go back to the top here. We have subtraction and multiplication still. So multiplication comes before the subtraction. 5 times 8 is 40. And then on the bottom, 8 times 12 is 96. Okay, now we can say 16 minus 40, which is going to be negative 24. over 96. And now we have the two numbers on one on top, one on bottom, and now we can look to divide. And you have to be careful here when you type this into your calculator. When you type in, if you type in 96 divided by 24 like this, that would give you 4. But actually what's really happening here is 24 divided by 96. So the way you would want to type that into a calculator would be 24 literally divided by 96, which is going to equal 1/4 negative, or negative 0.25 as a decimal. So you could have the fraction negative 1/4 or negative 0.25 as a decimal. So that concludes our review of order of operations. Tune in next time for another lesson. Thank you.